Okay, I'm not sure if we're recording or not. I can't get on my YouTube channel for some strange reason. I'm going to test some things out real fast. I'm not sure what's going on. Uh, okay. I'm having some problems right now. Uh, okay, now I know that we're back. Okay. Uh, this is a pain in the ass. Okay. Okay. Now that everything is all set, it's like, okay. Remember, if you're over the age of 10 years old, 10 years and older, you can sign up for a FEMA SID card, the SID number, and start doing the courses. You gotta pass the test with a 75% or higher. So the tests are hard because they have fewer questions, and like sometimes you only get one wrong and you failed. So that you can only answer one or two wrong. So always make sure you choose the best answer there is. Always cross. So always figure out what is the best answer. Um, this is one of my most enjoyable. Has been an enjoyment teaching you this course, the IS-800.D, the new updated version. As you can notice, there is lots of new material when it comes down to FEMA. They have updated over, I think, like 16 courses. They did four in January, another four in February. I think they've done like 20 courses so far updated. Um, so it's intense. It's hard to really keep up with the FEMA courses sometimes because you have things to do. But the whole point is, if you keep the courses updated the same time they update, you still have very good credentialing. People are shocked to see me have almost all the courses done. So I'm going to try teaching you all the courses and instructing you like this because I find it more fun to do it this way. Um, I got a really good live streamer. A big shout out to all the people who did the OBS tutorial. I actually figured out how to do a window capture so I could do this course with you guys. I did I did a Facebook Live. It really sucked. I had my battery from my Canon run out a lot, and it was a pain in the ass. But I try my best to teach these courses, but it's something hard to do. You got to try figuring out different ways on how to do it. And I have the C19 First Responder Gamer. Yes, that way I have that my new C19 First Responder Gamer on YouTube. I'm going to start doing that probably tonight. And my wife is probably going to enjoy me watching me get killed doing it. But I did the OBS is awesome. The OBS is an awesome streamer, so I can start doing stuff like this live. Um, C19 Gamer, I am thinking of doing Conan. Yes, I'm going to start a new character. And sorry, you perverts. When it comes down to FEMA, it's 10 years and older. So in other words, I'm going to probably have a bunch of 10-year-olds who are probably going to learn about FEMA while I game and tell you about all my stories about what happened during certain natural disasters. Oh my gosh, I have so much to tell. 25 years worth, and nobody ever heard my story. So C19, C19 First Responder Gamer. I'm going to do some gaming for charity. So in other words, all the money is going to go into emergency rapid response team. I when it comes down to donations, I do not see any of the donation money itself. It all goes to equipment and vehicle maintenance for emergency rapid response teams. If I ever do get donations, it always goes usually to equipment, the most stuff we need. All my first aid equipment is usually what it goes to. Sometimes it goes to fuel when I need more fuel, especially during an amber response. Especially when I have to get up to the Tennessee border. When it comes, I cannot really explain why I have to go to the Tennessee border, but I can tell you this: it's because of certain interstates, because of the left-hand lane law. You will get pulled over if you have an out-of-state plate in a lot of states. So they usually head up to the Tennessee border. Because it's the only way how you can get cross country. Other than that, let's get on with lesson 3, core capabilities. The National Response Framework is intended to strengthen, organize, and coordinate response actions across the entire response community as a means of delivering the core response capabilities in order to stabilize the community lifelines. This doesn't describe community lifelines and the core capabilities for response. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to identify core capabilities for response and how they are used to stabilize community lifelines. Approximately 1 hour, 5 minutes to complete. So let's do this as fast as possible. A community lifeline ensures the continuous operation of critical government and business functions and is essential to human health and safety or economic security. The 7 community lifelines represent only the basic services a community relies on, in which, when stable, enable other activities within a community. Stabilizing community lifelines is primary effort during response to lessen threats and hazards to public health and safety, the economy, and security. So you have the safety and security, the food, water, shelter, the health and medical, energy, power and fuel, communication, transportation, hazardous materials. So you have community lifelines continued. Community lifelines rely on multiple government entities, businesses, and infrastructure sectors to function because the community lifelines are independent. Failures and often one cascades to the others. So community lifelines are listed below. For more information, community lifelines, go to www.fema.gov/lifelines. Click on links below and learn about each of the 7 community lifelines, which I'm not going to do. So I'm just going to say them. Safety and security, that should be the same. Safety and security. Food, water, and sheltering, that's the American Red Cross. Health and medical, actually food, water, and sheltering is American Red Cross and Salvation Army. Health and medical, that is Team Rubicon. Energy, power, fuel. Communications, that is Emergency Rapid Response Team and possibly Team Rubicon and a couple others. Transportation, hazardous materials. So lifelines drive response. Community lifelines can be used by all levels of government, the private sector, and other partners to facilitate operational coordination and drive outcome-based response. Community lifelines are assessed and reassessed throughout an instant and help to identify required response actions each operational period until stabilization is achieved. Pre-incident, incident response, stabilization. So the pre-incident is develop deliberate plans with stabilization targets. Incident, the disruption to critical services. Incident response, assess initial lifeline and lifeline component status and adjust stabilization targets for each lifeline. Establish incident priorities around unstable lifelines and components. Organize response actions around lines of effort to accomplish incident priorities and response. And establish logistics and resource requirements. And then reassess the lifeline status. If you have to, you may have to go back to establish the incident priorities around unstable lifelines and components. And then once it's all done, stabilization, stabilize all lifelines. So now you know. So now you know how it goes. It goes around in a circle all the time. That's a lifeline. So Example of lifelines. Community lifelines do not directly cover all important aspects of community life that can be affected by an incident, but are often the root cause of impacts to other services. Examples of impacts on financial services after community life. Tornado has caused massive devastation in a rural town. But major impacts community lifeline is the community's inability to access money. Power outages have kept several bank branches closed and automated machines inoperable. Merchants who are open despite the power outages are only able to accept cash transactions. That's the most important thing, which a lot of people should remember. Carry cash on you during a disaster. You need cash because without it, a lot of them will take cash transactions. Some merchants, ATMs, and banks open have been energized through grid or generator power. However, communication outages prevent them from accessing systems to process an electronic transaction. On the east coast of Florida, you will see that a lot, especially in Cocoa Beach area, Miami, all over. You have a hurricane which comes in. Guess what? The only way how you're going to do it is a cash transaction. And also, when it comes down to fuel, carry your own fuel because a lot of the fuel pumps are flooded with water, and there's water in the gas, and you have water in the gas tank, in the gas tank of your vehicle, and you're going to have flooded. So, always carry cash on you. And transportation, road closures or blockages limit survivors' ability to travel to the limited merchants, ATM locations, and bank branches in the area, as well as responsibility to provide assets to stabilize critical infrastructure. Okay, when it comes down to just put it this way, you don't have to worry on over by Cocoa Beach on Route 1, anywhere on Route 1, if the hurricane hits the area, the roads are washed out. I've seen the roads totally collapse too. The roads are totally dead. You can't even travel. You can't even access. Yeah, it's also very, very dangerous. I had to walk to a few houses to make sure that that there are survivors, and lo and behold, there are, and they got safely to my truck, and we drove to safety. But you you can't really call them a survivor. I call them a disaster client. But other than that, got to you've got to really know about the roads and where a disaster is going to strike. And like a tornado, the road closures would be for a tornado would be trees on the road, and I do have chainsaws. Have chainsaw. Just tell me where to place it. Uh, when it came down to Hurricane Michael, I did over 100 miles with Florida State Attorney's Office, and they were awesome. The Attorney's Office law enforcement is probably the best law enforcement in the country. And when I was up in when I was in South Carolina, I had a sled come by. That's the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. They were totally lost on how to get through flooded areas. And I'm like blocking this road with my truck. All the green lights were running, and I have freaking sled go like this. Holy shit, you're from Florida? Yes, I'm from Florida. You happen to know this area? Nope. But I can tell you I get around the flooded area. Are you sure you can get around the flooded? Yes, I am. So I told Sled how to get around the area, and hopefully I didn't see them come back. So in other words, they got through. But I had the hard copy map, and I sold it to them for $50. Sorry, Sled. But when it comes down to law enforcement, you've got the money, you got the overtime pay, so of course I would naturally charge you $50 for a hard copy map. So now you know about lifelines. So these community effects, which will actively destruct the community, are caused by a confluence of impacts to specific lifelines. By using the community lifelines construct and root cause analysis, emergency managers can assess that major limiting factors restricting community access to money are through the power, transportation, and communication lifelines. Accordingly, a local emergency manager may alleviate the situation by considering options such as prioritize route clearance for emergency access by power and communication crews, uh, Jurors for temporary power or deployment of mobile cell towers for establishing connectivity until other infrastructure is restored. Okay. Core capabilities. Response core capabilities are functions of or activities that generally must be accomplished in instant response, regardless of which levels of government are involved. Using and implementing core capabilities is what we as a nation require in order to deal with the risks we face. And as we look for the response core capabilities, you'll notice that three core capabilities span all five mission areas: planning, public information, warning, and operational coordination. These help unify the mission areas in many ways are necessary for the success of the remaining core capabilities. And remember, there are 32 core capabilities, and they're too long to talk about. Way too long. Uh, Core cutting capabilities: planning, public information, warning, operational coordination, prevention, protection, mitigation, recovery, response recovery, planning, public information, warning, operational coordination. Um, then you have the 12 additional core capabilities are specific to response. Okay, this is critical transportation, mass search and rescue operations. That's the emergency rapid response team. Housing security, protection, law enforcement, environmental response, health and safety. Health and safety is also us, emergency rapid response team. Fatality management services, operational communications. That's emergency rapid response team, but we do communications where it comes down to disaster only. Um, Logistics and supply chain management, fire management services. We can do that, provided we can get more people who get certified and trained. Um, Infrastructure systems, public health, healthcare, and emergency medical services. That is both Team Rubicon and Emergency Rapid Response Team, because I only do emergency medical EMS, and it's only basic first aid. I don't do. I'm not a paramedic or an EMT, but I am a BOS provider first aid instructor with the American Heart Association, so I do fall under that category. Mass care services, situational assessment. I always do situational assessment. Everybody should do situational. That should not this is everyone. Situational assessment is everyone. Everyone should know assessment. Which of the following are part of the community lifeline that represent the most basic services a community relies on? Okay. Most basic services is transportation, communication, and energy. Correct. And remember, clothing is not an essential, not a basic service. So sorry, people who are in the clothes line, then you're not a basic service. But it's energy, communication, and transportation. Um, I'm doing these as fast as I can that way we can get going, because we only have 25 more pages left. Integration, response core capabilities and mission areas. Core capabilities depend on each other to succeed. Let's review some examples to explain how. Organizations involved in providing mass care services often rely on resources and functions from organizations that provide critical transportation or logistics and supply chain management for commodities distribution. Public information warning provides for messaging, translators, and interpreters, as well as operational communications for reporting and communication that allows shelters to stay in touch with operations there. Also, there are points where the response mission area crosses it with other mission areas, including prevention, protection, mitigation, and recovery. Select this link to view the national planning framework that everybody should do. The response mission area does not exist in a vacuum. For emergency management to be effective, all 5 mission areas must work together in an integrated fashion to achieve the goal of a safe, resilient nation and whole community involvement. Forgot about that one. So you're not effective unless you have that whole community involvement with all 5 mission areas. If you don't have the whole community involvement, it would not be effective because if you do not involve everyone, especially the 501c3s, the 501c3s will do their own thing. So always work with the 501c3s, especially emergency rapid response team. Now that you are familiar with the key coordination operations support structures for response, let's look at how response mission area integrates with the other mission areas. Effective emergency response requires that the coordinating structures for response be able to link to and share information with those in other mission areas, establishing close working relationships. Lines of communication and coordination protocols between production, prevention, mitigation, response, and recovery organizations facilitates this process. So, how do core capabilities relate to the community lifelines? Think of it this way. Lifeline equals ends. The results that responders are trying to accomplish. Core capabilities equals ways. Message that the responders will achieve the ends. To state in another way, responders delivers the response core capabilities in order to stabilize the community lifelines. Unit 4 will discuss emergency support functions, ESFs, and other constructs as means source of resources to deliver the core capabilities. The chart below shows the relationship of each lifeline on the right to the capabilities along the bottom. Yeah, good luck reading that. Yeah, so now you know how each one works. I'm going to have to leave this up for a while. Hopefully you guys can read it. Give it a few more seconds. Okay, at 8:26 I'm going to change it. Let's move on because, okay, stabilizing community lifelines is a primary effort during pre-incident, post-incident, incident response, or recovery. It will be post-incident. Nope. It is not post-incident. Interesting. Incident response. Check. So it's incident response. Emergency rapid response team is actually post-incident. We wait for the disaster to happen and go in, even if the disaster is happening. So we usually are post-incident. Some groups, some organizations I know are like that. They are post-incident, not incident response. Oh, it is incident response. Okay, it's pre-incident, incident response, recovery, and then it's post-incident. Okay. Something like that. I forget the exact. Okay. Which core capability makes it possible to manage the life cycle of a potential crisis? Determine capability requirements and help stakeholders learn their roles. Uh, Public operational warning, operational coordination, planning, mitigation. That's either operational coordination or planning. So it has to be planning. correct planning. Sometimes it's how it's questioned, and you're trying to figure out, okay, it can be that one or that one. It can't be public appraisal or warning or even mitigation because you're trying to manage the life cycle. Actually, what they should have done was plan the life cycle. It would have been better that way, that we know it's actually planning. So in this lesson, you've learned about the National Response Framework, traces, organized, and coordinates response. And now let's get to it because we got 20 more pages. So you're going to do coordinating structures. At the end of the lesson, you'll be able to describe coordinating structures, the operation plan used to support mergers across different government levels. In addition, describe how the 7 community lifelines use Reddit. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm going to keep it live. And as my wife Caroline wants to teach the last part. But I just got to do something real fast. And I just need to get things done.
90,
Okay, and I'm back. Okay, purpose of coordinating structures. Operational coordination occurs across various government levels. It consists of actions and activities that enable decision makers to determine appropriate courses. And so these decision makers are in decision makers because they forget about the whole community concept of action and provide oversight for all types of incidents, including complex homeland security operations to achieve unity of effort and effective outcomes. Coordinating structures to help organize and measure the whole community's capabilities in order to address the requirements of response mission area, facilitate problem solving, improve access to response resources, foster coordination prior to following incident, and the coordinating structures used to organize response efforts must be scalable, flexible, and adaptable, so they can be partially or fully implemented to allow for delivery of the exact resources that are needed and with level of coordination appropriate to each incident. Okay, one thing, I don't know why they don't use span of control anymore. They say scalable, flexible, and adaptable. Well, that is called span of control. Um, they more likely use scalable, flexible, and adaptable instead of span of control. In that way, it's whole community involvement, which also involves children. So children already know, if you're over 10 years old, you can actually probably agree with me. Scalable, flexible, and adaptable is more referable to children between 10 and 15 years old who are also in volunteer organizations. And some of those are like Sea Cadets, and other organizations. And these groups, especially Civil Air Patrol, CAP, they are awesome when it comes down to children who want to be part of the armed forces. Um, so that's why they use scalable, flexible, and adaptable instead of span of control, which is also known as, which is scalable, flexible, and adaptable. Um, so the private sector coordinating structures and operational planning, when catastrophic incidents put premium on the restoration of complex supply chains, especially for essential projects and services needed for response efforts and stabilization of the economy. Private sector coordination assets are vital for public health and safety, the economy, and national security. Private sector can also help government agencies prioritize support missions, debris removal to facilitate businesses, and infrastructure response operations. Local coordinating support structures and operational planning. At local level, coordinating structures are usually composed of the entities within the specific functional areas, such as public works, law enforcement, emergency medical services, and fire departments. On-scene integration among these structures may occur at incident command posts and more frequently at one or more local emergency operations centers (EOCs). Emergency responders at all levels of government use NIMS and ICS structures to manage and support response operations. And I use the National Incident Management System and the Incident Command System structure to also manage Thanksgiving, where you have the incident commander, the public information officer, safety officer, liaison officer, operations section chief, planning section chief, logistics section chief, and finance administration section chief. Okay. Sometimes some of these roles, like incident command, will also be the public information officer, the safety officer, the license officer, and all the above. If you're in a small county, very small one, which has like less than 30 people in emergency management of that county, one of these people can actually do like all the things. Like sometimes you'll have the operations section chief and planning section chief as the same person. Sometimes you'll have all four. You'll have the sections, planning, logistics, and finance as the same person. Hell, even as the commander, public information officer, yeah, you can actually, one person can actually do all of these, all the above. And does it save a town or county money for doing that? Oh yeah, it can save them a lot of money. All they probably have to do is pay them overtime. So yeah, when it comes down to overtime, I know some cops can make up to $250,000 on overtime alone. So local emergency operations center. If the local incident commander determines that additional resources or capabilities are needed, requirements are related to the local emergency operations center (EOC), the physical location where multi-agency coordination typically occurs, and where the variety of local coordinating structures come together to solve problems. The Emergency Operations Center helps form, share the situational awareness of the incident, relieves on-scene command of the burden of external coordination, Secure the natural resources to help meet requirements. At the local level, incident management coordination also includes multi-agency coordination groups to care for information on the emergency operations centers and to care for more information on the multi-agency coordination groups. And remember, local officials, the emergency operations center, and the incident command post.
Okay. The coordinating structures at the state and territorial levels also vary, depending on factors such as geography, population, industry, and the capabilities of the local jurisdictions. The coordinating structures are designed to build on the capabilities and resources of partners spread across the whole community, some of whom may also participate in local or regional coordinating structures. Many states created local and regional councils focused on specific functions.
So, while the local incident command structure directs on-scene incident management activities and maintains command and control on-scene incident operations, state emergency operations centers are activated as necessary to support the local emergency operations centers and help ensure that responders have the resources they need to conduct response activities. State, tribal, territorial, and area emergency operations centers also provide a common location for coordination of state, tribal, territorial, insular area, and in some cases federal support to local emergency operations centers and or incident personnel. Tribal assistance coordination group, TACG, is a multi-agency group that assists federally recognized tribes during emergencies and disasters and provides information and technical assistance for tribal emergency management programs in coordination with federal partners. So the introduction to federal operations centers when an incident occurs that exceeds or anticipated to exceed local or state resources, or when an incident is managed by federal departments or agencies acting under their own authorities, federal government may use the management structures described within the National Response Framework. Additionally, the federal government may use supplementary or complementary plans to involve all necessary department and agency resources to organize the federal response and ensure coordination among the response partners. Many of the arrangements by which departments and agencies participate are defined in the ESF annexes, coordinated through prescriptive mission assignments and a Stafford Act response, formalized in interagency agreements or described in the National Response Framework. Supplementary plans. The following sections describe federally supported operations center. So you have CIOCC, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA, and the Integrated Operations Coordination Center, the CIOCC. Then you have the NOC, the National Operations Center. You have the NRCC, the National Response Coordination Center. The RRCC, the Regional Response Coordination Center. And the JFO, the Joint Field Office. Then you have the Field Operations Centers, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and you have the Strategic Information Operations Center, the SIOC. And then you have the JOC, the Joint Operations Center. And then you have Federal Operations Centers, other agencies, the NMCC, the National Military Command Center, and the NSC, the National Policy, National Security Council. So, how do coordination structures help organize and measure the whole community capability, address requirements of the response mission area, improve access to response resources, facilitate problem solving, and foster coordination following an incident? It's all the above. So, So unified coordination. Unified coordination is a term used to describe the primary state, tribal, territorial, insular, area federal incident management activities conducted at the incident level. Unified coordination is typically directed from a joint field office, a temporary federal facility that provides a central location for coordination of response efforts. The Unified Coordination Group is composed of senior leaders representing state, tribal, territorial, and federal interests and certain circumstances, local jurisdictions, private sector, and NGOs. Federal interagency operations plan. Describe how the federal government aligns resources and those core capabilities to reach our shared national preparedness goal. The ESF demonstrates coordination of federal incident response is functioned through ESF support of government and private sector entities that provide personnel, supplies, facilities, and equipment. Federal ESFs bring together the capabilities of federal departments and agencies and other national level assets that work together to deliver core capabilities and support an effective response. Community, states, tribal governments, regions, and other federal departments and agencies may also use the ESF structure, and they are encouraged to work closely with federal ESFs at the incident regional or headquarters levels as they are activated. Watch a 5 video to learn more about ESFs.
Emergencies and functions, or ESFs, are focused on federal government and community states as a whole. These functions build, sustain, and deliver the response core capabilities. ESFs are not based on the capabilities of a single department or agency, but the functions in which they are responsible cannot be accomplished by any single department or agency. Rather, several ESFs think together.
Okay, so ESFs are not solely attributed to any one organization, nor are they mechanisms of executing an agency's statutory authority. So you have ESF1, transportation; ESF2, communications; ESF3, public works; ESF4, firefighting; ESF5, information planning; ESF6, mass care, emergency assistance, temporary housing, and human assistance; ESF7, logistics; ESF8, public health and medical services; ESF9, emergency rapid response team; search and rescue, our stars; ESF10, oil and hazardous materials response; ESF11, agriculture and natural resources; ESF12, energy; ESF13, public safety and security, which is also us because we are a public safety organization; ESF14, cross-sector business and infrastructure; and ESF15, external affairs. So community lifelines, means, ways, ends. The interrelationship of emergency support functions, core capabilities, and lifelines can be thought in terms of means, ways, and ends. Means, ESFs, and other organizing bodies of means are way we organize across departments, agencies, community, organizations, and industries to enhance coordination and integration to deliver the response core capabilities. Through these ESS, government and private sector entities provide the personnel, supplies, facilities, and equipment needed for response. Ways, response core capabilities describe the grouping of response actions, the ways that can be taken to stabilize and reestablish the lifelines FEMA executes, lines of efforts LOE to operational the core capabilities, the response and recovery planning and operations. Lifelines describe the critical services within a community that must be stabilized or reestablished. The ends to alleviate the life to threats to life and property. So more on information on Lifelines Toolkit and the Lifelines intermission areas, which you should look into after all this. Uh, so you have ESF1, coordinate transportation, coordinate opening of roads, and manage aviation airspace for access to health and medical facilities or services. ESF2, communications, provide and enable contingency communications required at health and medical facilities. ESF3, public works engineering, install generators to provide other temporary emergency power sources for health facilities. ESF4, firefighting, coordinate federal firefighting activities and support resource requests for public health and medical facilities and teams. ESF5, information planning, develop, coordinate interagency crisis action plans addressing health and medical issues. 6, mass care, emergency assistance, temporary housing, and human assistance, integrate voluntary agency and other partner support, including other federal agencies and the private sector to resource health and medical services and supplies. ESF7, logistics, provide logistics support for moving meals, water, or other commodities. 8, public health and medical services, provide health and medical support to communities and coordinate across capabilities of partner agencies. ESF9, search emergency rapid response team, search and rescue. Our STARS unit, we have the STARS, conduct national health and medical needs assessments. ESF10, oil and hazardous materials response, monitor air quality near health and medical conditions in close proximity to the incident area. ESF11, agriculture and natural resources, coordinate with health and medical entities to address incidents of zoonotic disease. ESF12, energy, coordinate power restoration efforts for health and medical facilities or power-dependent medical populations. ESF13, public safety and security, provide public safety needed security at health and medical facilities or mobile teams delivering services. ESF14, cross-sector businesses and infrastructure be informed of and assess cascading impacts of health or medical infrastructure or services or service disruptions and deconflict or prioritize cross-sector requirements. ESF 15, external affairs, conduct public messaging on the status of available health and medical services or public health risks. So now to review, what is the Tribal Assistance Coordination Group, TACG, a tribal EC, a tribal EMAC, a tribal unit for command or of two or more tribes, or the federal MAC that assists tribes? It will be the federal MAC that assists tribes. Correct. So we're just getting this done. So conclusion, National Response Framework provides foundational emergency management doctrine of how the nation responds to all types of incidents. The narrative is built on scalable, flexible, and adaptable concepts. The span of control. The whole community should be engaged in examining and implementing the strategy and doctrine contained in the National Response Framework, considering both current and future requirements in the project. Remember, the whole community includes the private sector, NGOs, local, state, tribal, territorial, and insular area governments, and the federal government, as well as other response entities, and you, the people, the household, the individual, its whole community. Whole community remains firm in its commitment to safeguard itself against its greatest risks now and in the future. Through whole community engagement, the nation will continue to improve its preparedness to face all emergencies or disaster challenges that may unfold. And it starts with you, because you are part of the whole community engagement. You, as the individual, are part of that whole community which FEMA established, and which Emergency Rapid Response Team established 25 years ago with Admiral Mike Borda. You are the whole community. The whole community is you. You are that whole community. And it's just not just the federal government. It's just not the local government. It's not the state government. You got to be involved. You yourself, as an individual, have to be part of that whole community. You yourself, who have self-quarantined yourself during this natural crisis, this national emergency management, this national incident with COVID-19, you are part of that whole community. And this is the whole community thing. This is what we've been talking about for 25 years. And now FEMA finally implemented it. Thank you, FEMA, for doing this whole community involvement. This whole community starts with the citizen of the United States. Yeah, ICE, you're going to probably burn me on this because FEMA's part of Homeland Security. But ICE, if you even try burning me on this, I will fight back. So let me tell you this. When it comes down to ICE, this whole community involvement also includes the illegal immigrant, because they are part of the community too. Even if they come here illegally, they are part of that whole community. Everybody is involved during a disaster. Everyone. And once the federal government and especially the local and state governments start realizing that, we as a nation will be stronger. We gotta stop. Let's put it this way: the criminal element of a United States citizen got to be a law-abiding, whole community involved citizen. You gotta get rid of that criminal element. You gotta stop living a life of crime. You've got to start being involved as a whole community, because if you don't have that whole community involvement, we itself are doomed as a nation. Because my ancestors, I had slaves in my family. I've had yeah, I've had relatives, I had ancestors who were born into slavery here in the United States. But know what? Every single one of my ancestors was a volunteer, except for those who were enslaved. But regardless, let the past be the past. We got to move on to the future. And the only part of our past we need is to bring back the volunteers. Stop with this paid $100,000 crap, especially the Congress and the Senate with their retirement, because they are not supposed to be making that. Because to be a member of Congress and the Senate, you were supposed to be a volunteer. You were not supposed to be paid, especially these high salary things. No, you are not supposed to be paid a high salary. You are supposed to be a volunteer. You as a firefighter, hello, my direct descendant Benjamin Franklin started the firefighting, and it was supposed to be all volunteer. So we as a nation are a nation of volunteers, not a nation of money hungry. Paid employees. We are a nation of volunteers who should be having whole community involvement. Our mayors were supposed to be volunteers. They were not supposed to be paid. Our governors were not supposed to be paid. They were supposed to be volunteers. Our Senate, our Supreme Court are a bunch of money hungry. I cannot say it, but you already probably know what I'm going to say. So, everyone in our government was supposed to be volunteers. They were never, ever, ever supposed to get paid. We are a real 501c3, which has volunteer executives. So, whole community involvement is volunteering and helping out the community instead of being a money hungry, you know what, and not be paid. Volunteering is the only way the United States will recuperate from our debt. Our national debt is $1 trillion, all because we want our Congress members and our senators and our Supreme Court to retire on an income which is no United States citizen, unless you are the 1%, will ever see that type of money. Our medical is screwed up because, I would say this. If you as a senator or a Congress member want to deal with this whole community involvement, I want to see you on the front lines of a disaster and helping out the community instead of being a political media, you know what. I have children over 10 years old probably watching this going, what is he talking about? Okay, it is simple. You cannot have a country of paid politicians. Our politicians should never be paid. They should be volunteers. And I know how to implement it, and our politicians should also have the same type of health care we that normal people have. They need to get health and care insurance. We will go bankrupt. We are already basically bankrupt right now. We're spending money which tax can't get cashed. We are going to be a nation of debt. So in order to alleviate that, we got to start being a nation of volunteers again. Because we were really economically well, especially after Andrew Jackson paid off the national debt, the original national debt. When he when he paid it off, when he paid it off, we were really good on cash. But then we started wanting to pay the firefighters. We wanted to start paying the police officer. We wanted to start paying this and that and this and that. And we became a nation of debt. And it became even worse with Woodrow Wilson. We got to stop being a nation in debt and having paid fire, paid police, paid politicians, and we got to be a nation of volunteers again and have this whole community involvement. We would not have this criminal. We would not have this criminal element in our nation if we became a nation of volunteers again and having these frivolous lawsuits. We are a nation in debt because people forget about whole community involvement. The whole community involvement is the volunteers. And by the way, politicians, power means many, and ticket of parasites. So we have many parasites in office, and we need to vote them out. And I'm not just talking about the Democrats or vote out the Republicans. We got to vote both the Democrats and the Republicans out and vote Libertarian. We need smaller government because one person who likes seeing larger government is the Antichrist. The Antichrist loves large government. The Antichrist loves high-paid politicians. The Antichrist loves having people who are paid firefighters and paid. And the Antichrist definitely loves frivolous lawsuits. We got to be back in a nation of God and bring back the volunteers and the ones who are looking for glory or money. We want the volunteers which would do the job right the first time. We have the volunteers which have the credentialing like we do of emergency rapid response team. We have the power. We have everything we need. We have the power of God and the Lord Jesus Christ. So, the conclusion of this is whole community involvement and everybody should be volunteering instead of getting paid. Everybody should be private sector should be donating money instead of getting paid. You got to donate and be a volunteer, and then we will become a greater nation and stop importing from China. You have now completed all the lessons. Prior to taking the examination, recommend that you access and print a summary of the course contents, review the National Response Framework-based document, and enjoy the test. And I actually enjoy teaching this course, and I do deeply apologize for bringing up religion and volunteering again, but you know what? How are we going to be surviving as a nation if we are not a nation of volunteers again? So the course summary of this was describe how to manage all hazards, responses for all levels, build on scalable, flexible, and adaptable concepts identified in the National Incident Management System, describes the actions to save lives, protect property and the environment, stabilize communities, and meet basic human needs following an incident, describes core capabilities for response and actions required to deliver those capabilities, explains how the 7 community lifelines reduce threats to public health and safety, the economy, and security. Final exam. Take the final exam at the MI Independent Study Program Secure Exam Site. Copies of the exam answer sheet will not be accepted. And answer at least 75% of the questions correctly. Good night. God bless. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and we'll have others eventually. But I did really enjoy this course so much. I always loved the IS-800. I never did my first time teaching. Actually, this is my second time. I did put the first one on Facebook Live, and that was an utter failure because of my camera going out. And now I learned how to do a um, Windows capture with OBS, and it turned out great. And you were a wonderful audience, and I hope to see people again. And we'll probably do another one in a couple weeks. But if you want to, on a regular basis, I am going to do C19, First Responder Gamer. So catch me on that channel, C19, First Responder Gamer, and hope to see you in the future. Take care. Bye.
So how are we gonna do the test?